Welcome to our Monday edition of NMH at 1. I am your host, Priska Anyolo. At this time of day, we bring you the latest news for the day and a quick review of the last 24 hours. The Namibia Airports Company is in the meantime conducting its annual general meeting as we speak. One would expect that the much talked about renovations and Chinese proposal to upgrade the Hosea Kutako International Airport is bound to be one of the main discussion points. The lockdown is obviously on all of our lips and minds. Today, in fact, is probably in an hour's time, actually, the Namibian President Hage Geingob is due to announce where Namibia heads next in the COVID-19 saga. As you all would know, Namibia, except for the Irongo region, is presently under the stage 3 of the lockdown regulations. Irongo has been placed back under the extremely strict rules as per stage 1 and are due to find out today whether the government is going to prolong their plight or uplift them at least to stage 2, if not stage 3. The tremendous increase in COVID-19 infections, described as the local infections, in the Walvis Bay area is clearly expected to play a part in the decision of the president. In that context, we bring you an update of the current COVID-19 situation. So when looking at the latest available data on COVID-19, we find that the Ministry of Health and Social Services this morning confirmed 8 new cases, 7 in Walvis Bay and 1 in Swakopmund. Their test results were received yesterday. Namibia now has a total of 63 confirmed cases. 2 new recoveries were also announced, which means the overall recovery rate thus far is now standing at 33%. None of the new cases are seriously ill and many are asymptomatic. On Thursday and Friday, more than 200 tests were done on 2 consecutive days for the first time. More than 300 tests were done collectively on Saturday and Sunday, but these official statistics are yet to be released. In the meantime, almost 200 new possible contacts of confirmed cases were traced on Friday alone. Yolanda Nell spoke to a kindergarten that was ready to open today. As from today, the pre-primary and parts of the primary schools were supposed to open until these next steps was cancelled very late yesterday evening. Here we are informed of what steps had to be taken to follow COVID-19 procedures.
My name is Mudil Kamai. Happy to be back at school because I honestly hate online school.
Hallo julle, ek is Janika Engel, ek is in graad 7C en ek is baie opgewonde om terug by die skool te wees. Dit is vir ons baie exciting en ons kan nie wag vir die res van die jaar te wees.
Hallo julle, ek is Daan de Plessis, ek is ook in graad 7C. Ek is net so opgewonde om my vriende weer te sien en by die skool te wees.
Good afternoon and welcome to NMH at 1. My name is Juane and joining me in studio is InTouch Interactive MD Derek Briers. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Derek is in studio to talk to us about the COVID-19 registry that they're implementing. So what is the registry, C19 registry?
Okay, so we saw a gap in the market that currently you have to fill in a lot of paperwork when you get to a place of business. and you can sanitize the pen, but it's very difficult to sanitize the paper that people are filling in. And the process is very tedious, and it takes people a lot of time to fill in the process, the registers. So we've created a digital register. People can go to c19.com.na to register. It's free to register. We then verify your cell phone number via OTP, so you then automatically on the system. Once you've registered at one time, you can then reuse the system at various businesses, where you will see the C19 registry logo, and we're deploying it at several businesses, and there are various methods to enter a business. So what is very nice about it is that all of your information that we capture, we encrypt. So currently when you go to a place of business and there's an open book where people fill in their forms, all of your information is open for the public, to the next guy to see. With this, your information is encrypted. It's also encrypted on the database. It's kept safe, and it's not open for prying eyes.
Okay. How do potential customers go about acquiring the software?
Okay, so it's very easy. There's two options when you see a QR code where you can sign in. The one is to download the My Info app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. But if you wish not to download the app, your phone is out of memory, just go to the c19.com.na website. Once you've registered, there's a little QR code at the top. You will see 4 buttons at the bottom and a QR code reader on the top. And then simply scan with that QR code from your phone, from the browser. No need to install the app. You scan the QR code and you enter the business.
And then you touched on the issue of encryption and safety. Potential customers of the software and also the users of the software will obviously be concerned around security issues and their information being out in the public. What has been done to secure that? Okay,
so like I said, even when you register, when we transmit the data, when you log into a business, all of your data is encrypted. We keep the database very secure. And for people to access the back end, they need a special password. That there's also several layers of security on that, so that your information is very secure. It's not open to prying eyes, and only when needed will your information be supplied to whoever needs it. For your privacy is protected. You've got opt-ins and opt-outs. The system was built with privacy in mind.
And then how user-friendly would you say this particular type of software is?
Well, I'm amazed at what the developer did to build the system. The ease of use is simply amazing. I've been assisting a couple of users in installing, registering, and it's so straightforward. And when you get into the homepage, there's a little help button that you can click on to see how the system operates. But it's extremely easy to use.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.
Thank you, Tom.
We here at NMH at 1 would like to profusely apologize for the information that was just given to you regarding COVID-19 statistics and also the information regarding students returning back to schools. Please do disregard all of that information, as the correct information is coming right up. Moving on, excitement is running high for grade 7 and 9 learners across the country, with the exception of learners in Swakopmund, Arandis and Walvis Bay being able to return to school today. Marisol Stoffberg of the MyZone team visited the Windhoek Afrikaanse Privaat School this morning as grade 7 learners returned to school, as well as grade 9 learners.
My name is Mudil Kamai. Happy to be back at school because I honestly hate online school.
Hallo julle, ek is Janika Engel, ek is in graad 7C en ek is baie opgewonde om terug by die skool te wees. Dit is vir ons baie exciting en ons kan nie wag vir die res van die jaar nie.
Hallo julle, ek is Dante de Plessis, ek is in graad 7C. Ek is net so opgewonde om my vriende weer te sien en by die skool te wees.
If you have ever wondered how laboratory tests are carried out, don't miss this next insert. Hendrix Hedimbi demonstrates how a COVID-19 sample is tested at the NAMDAB laboratory in Oraniamunt. The mining company is working in conjunction with the Namibia Institute of Pathology and Pathcare to clear up the backlog of outstanding tests.
So I'm just preparing my sample for extraction. And right now I prepare my samples here already, and they are ready for extraction. Now extraction machine is right here. This is our extractor, and I'm going to load my sample in here.
From the Kavango West region, Kenya Kamboe reports on how Popular Democratic Movement leader McHenry Vanani this morning paid a courtesy visit to the Homba of the Mbunza Traditional Authority, Afons Kaundu. The two leaders' deliberation on a number of issues affecting the Mbuza community and the Kavango regions in particular. Vanani spoke to the media after the meeting and promised to table a motion in the National Assembly which will aim to discuss the issues affecting people in the two Kavango regions.
I have just concluded a meeting at the Mbunza Traditional Authority where I met Chief Kaundu to discuss a plethora of matters that concerns the people of this region, that concerns the country. Chief amongst them was the poverty in the region, the backwardness of agriculture, the lack of roads, lack of clinics, and unemployment in the region. As you are aware that PDM is preparing for a landmark motion to be tabled in Parliament discussing the poverty-stricken regions in our country. Why are they poor and what can we do to take them out of the doldrums of poverty? So it was a very cordial meeting. It was a courtesy visit where we shared a number of concerns. He raised a number of concerns about road infrastructure in his region, the Sikendo project that he has given to the Agricultural Ministry that is not taking off, and a number of concerns of water that is a key issue. I will make time during my week-long visit in the region to visit some of the water points, the boreholes that are dry up, and infrastructure that is not there, so that we assess these things on a first-hand information. When we go back as people's representative, we go armed with the reality of the situation to be able to debate them and find solutions to problems facing our country.
Honorable, maybe you could just give us your take on the OMPA mentioned something about the remuneration of 2,000 a month, which he said is...
It's an issue that has been championed by PDM over a number of years. That we must look at how we can improve a lot of traditional leaders because their responsibilities are very wide. They are suffering, their vehicles are never serviced. Service the vehicles. They have not all traditional communities generate the same income due to the skill, Gini coefficients in the country, and the lack of business interest in some of the communities. So it's a very relevant issue that we must re-look at. How do we remunerate our traditional authorities for them to be able to service the minimum of their communities?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is this the only stop you're making?
Well, I'm making a number of stops. I'm meeting leaders of the church groups. I'm meeting traditional authorities. Other traditional authorities. I'm meeting agricultural industry, the landless residents of Rundu, the timber industry, the thatch industry. I'm visiting irrigation projects. I'm about to launch a door-to-door campaign in some of tobacco. So it's a week long of engagement from here to Omega. I'm meeting governors, the two governors of the region. I'll be consulting with them because now that my office is an official office of the country, I'm consulting with them and making sure that we compare notes on the development trajectory of the region.
Talking about door-to-door campaign, are we talking about political and is it in line with the upcoming elections?
Well, it's in line with keeping a constant contact between electorates and the leadership. And I'm one of those leaders that say after every election, there is another election. So PDM is already preparing for 2024.
Okay, thank you, Honorable.
On the COVID front, the sad news came yesterday that another resident of the coast has died due to COVID-19. These are the numbers for Saturday as announced by the Ministry of Health and Social Services last night. The 3 deaths thus far reported represent 0.2% of confirmed cases. Those 60 years and older comprise 2.4% of cases. Some of these 30 individuals have already recovered. Health authorities over the weekend said only 9 of all active cases are experiencing severe symptoms. More than 3,000 new test results were processed in the 7 days up to Saturday. In brief, on Saturday, the following numbers of tests were run for the following regions. Ironga had 237, Khomas 16, Oshodonjupa 7, Karas 3, Ohangwena 2, and 1 test result for Omaheke. On Saturday, 93 contacts of confirmed cases were traced in Ironga region, as well as 52 contacts in the Karas and 7 in Khomas. An announcement about yesterday's figures are expected later today. Allgemeine Zeitung's Claudia Reiter spoke to a pathology practitioner. This is what they had to say.
Hi, I'm Quentin Wessels. I'm Associate Professor of Anatomy at the School of Medicine. And what we do is we teach undergraduate anatomy to medical students and allied health professional students. The curriculum at this stage is focused on cell structure and function. It gradually develops from the basics of the human body, looking at cell structure and function, developmental biology, and then later on as the students progress we go into a more systems-based approach where we look at the cardiovascular system. And in the dissection hall the students do a regional approach, so they would have a look at the thoracic region, and then they will have the opportunity to look at the cardiovascular system as well as the respiratory system. As soon as they get to the abdomen, it will be the abdominal viscera, the organs, as well as the pelvic structures. And the dissections for the medical students span over 2 semesters, so it's 1 year of dissection. Small anthropology exhibit, and the intention is to expose the students to the fact that we as humans, anatomically modern humans, gradually evolved from a common ancestor. So we have these casts, they are quite rare, ranging from Australopithecine to Neanderthal to Homo erectus and anatomically modern human species. Just to show the anatomical variations, the changes over time in the skull size, as well as that of the brain consequently.
Moving on to news from the dailies. On the front pages of Namibia Media Holdings dailies, the Allgemeine Zeitung reports on how the tourism sector seeks security and reliable indicators to determine the way forward in a bid to avoid a complete collapse of the industry. Given that bed occupancy has dropped to a record low, the consequences at the moment are catastrophic. The Namibian Sun, keeping up with tourism, reports that the industry recommends that Namibia opens its borders to Germany, Botswana and Ethiopia as part of a tourism revival initiative, which was due to start last week but has seemingly fallen through as a surge of local COVID-19 infections continues. However, the newspaper leads with how the first COVID fatality is being exhumed in Walvis Bay, following protests by residents of Naraville. Republican also leads with COVID-related news, reporting that the Namibian Institute of Pathology is planning on decentralizing the carrying out of tests since they are more than 2,200 samples behind with testing. The lead image on Republican is of Saturday's march against aborting laws that many Namibian women feel need to be updated. In news from the other national dailies, New Era leads with family members of a recently deceased COVID victim who say they are saddened by the events that played out in Walvis Bay this weekend, when residents rejected the idea of having COVID fatalities buried at Narraville. This follows after community members attempted to dig out his body during the protests over the weekend. The Namibian leads with the dire situation of grape workers at Ausenker in the Karas region, where around 16,000 people live in reed huts and shacks without sanitation, portable water or electricity. From inside the dailies, the Namibian reports that Works Minister John Mutorwa opposes a decision by the Namibia Civil Aviation Authority to extend the employment contract of the company's interim executive director, Reinhard Gardner. The New Era reports that Police Chief Sebastian de Tunga has vowed that everyone who aided and harbored a Namibian-born South African who entered the country illegally on 12th of June by crossing the Orange River will be charged. The AZ reports from Swakopmund how many residents are furious at a banner that was displayed at a local restaurant stating "All Lives Matter." The owners removed it 3 days later, apologizing for the hurt it has caused. On page 3 of the Republican, Ronel Rademeyer reports on 447 persons that were repatriated to Germany on Saturday, a flight that included returning citizens and students. The mood was jovial, with staff at Hosea Kuchako International Airport saying it was like times preceding COVID. Inside the Namibian Sun is the positive story of a long-term prisoner in the Kavango West region, Robson Laboni, who achieved 3 A's and 2 C's in last year's grade 10 examination and is now taking grade 12 subjects through NAMCO. From our sports desk comes the report about the decision that everyone was dreading, that the NPL was expelled from NFA structures, was made over the weekend. This came about after many attempts by the NFA to get its members to comply with directives and to retain the status of civics in Orlando Pirates for the new season, which the NPL vowed not to implement and which led to their expulsion. That is all the news for today. My name is Priska Anyolo and I've been your host. Thank you so much for watching NMH at 1. Have a great Monday ahead.